Hello, welcome to the Ghost N.E.A.R Show. I am your host, Keith Johnson. Please join Sandra and myself as we attend the 2023 Ocean State ParaCon Convention, held at the beautiful Assembly Theater in Harrisville, Rhode Island. Now this is when we're in the cemetery, in Riverside Cemetery, where Bathsheba Sherman reposes, and we were there just on a cemetery visit, and Sandra asked, she saw these little cement blocks, she asked if they were children's graves or footstones, and I told her they were holding up the iron fence, and all of a sudden a voice just said no. We didn't hear it audibly, but it came out on the recording in the form of EVP. Just said no, even though I was telling a historic fact, just disagreed. He said no, as it frequently does. Would you play that, please?
Looks like footstones. And these are just over the fence up.
This is taken up in bedroom. Those who have been there will recognize this bedroom. It's bedroom with the most activity in it. And I don't know what this is. It was at night. The sun wasn't shining in, so I don't know why. But you see a curtain there, which did not belong in the room. There was no curtain or throw, whatever that is, with the tassels on it. You can even see a pair of eyeglasses that were not in the room. And people pick up different things from this, but there are anomalies in that seem to be household items, and we don't know where they came from. It just came out like this. But there was nothing like that. The eyeglasses were not there for some reason. These just came out in the photo, and it was digital, so. All right, that's just a picture of me in the kitchen downstairs when we were there. I believe this was 2005. We were sitting there investigating, and there you can see that basically as it is today, the layout of the house. Those who have been there will recognize it. This is from exactly 50 years ago.
Now this was a Polaroid camera. This is if you've heard of them. Some people still like bringing Polaroid cameras to investigations. You get sometimes it picks up noise that another photograph might not. But this is September 1973. Maybe this could be the anniversary of the day. But this is why you don't see this lady except for her eyes. This is Mrs. Jacqueline Nuñez, 1973, and she's giving a tour of her house, which was the Arnold Richardson farmhouse. You call it Brooks Farm and different names, but this is a house on Round Top Road, and they're in the basement. The basement looks a lot like it did. Not too much of that house has been changed. More convenient parking now, but. Yeah, this is Carolyn Perron. And this is poor Carolyn. She was during the situation that the parents found themselves in this house. She was the one who was being targeted. I mean, they were all affected to one extent or another. Cindy Perron was affected very badly. Andrea Perron. This is Nancy. She was slapped on the side of the head when I was there. Yeah. But Carolyn was the main one. Poor Carolyn being targeted at the time. Now, Carolyn didn't want to be. She found the house and the activity there fascinating, but this came upon her. She was the perfect victim for this. I'm not saying delusional. I'm saying this came to Carolyn because of her frequency, her vibration. She drew that in. I've seen that happen in a poltergeist case. This was Carolyn, the beautiful Lorraine Warren. Everybody remembers Lorraine, I think, yeah. And you've seen the movies of Conjuring, verifying it as a spectacular 70s wardrobe. That's kind of a nostalgia look too, like a retro look. That's how Lorraine dressed. She's always looked elegant out being out in the field. So that's Lorraine. proof that I really was at that house back then. There are several pictures there. And that's 1973. And for a while, I thought that was my brother. But remember that because I have a story about it.
Something on cue. Slam down. Again, maybe a happy eerie coincidence. Perhaps.
Mike Ricksecker? Yeah, my friend Mike Ricksecker was investigating the house.
He described me how that window slammed shut. You can tell that story.
Yes, and that's when I was upstairs, our first visit. My hair was down past my shoulders back then. But this window could not be closed because of the August humidity. The 1736 wood swelled. Roger had even tried hammering it shut, it would not shut, so we just left it open for weeks.
And it was August, and yet it was cold in that room. Strange effect.
Yes, very strange temperature changes, and you could feel something manifesting. But the girls, Andrea's younger sisters, told me how frightened they were. I asked them, "What is it? Do you have any religious beliefs?" They said, "Yes, we're Catholic." So I said, "Well, try calling on the name of Jesus." As soon as I said the name of Jesus, that thing slamming down. That's when Nancy was slapped on the side of her head went. She was slapped on the left side, which is significant, counterclockwise. And you could see her hair go up, screaming and crying. And I just said, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Call upon the name of Jesus." And after I said the name of Jesus twice more, it just left the room. It did not leave the house, but it left the room for that night. At least for that hour, you could feel it was totally clear. And they were so happy, it's gone, it's gone. So that's our first experience in that room. To this day, people find themselves very, very affected in that room. And that's what things, movies, see little toys, little matchbox cars, they will move right in front of your eyes quite often. Can't guarantee that'll happen, but it does happen quite often. And some people feel like they're off balance in that room, like they become dizzy, they have to sit down. That did happen to Mike Ricksecker while he was there. He suddenly felt like he was off balance and he had to sit down. I made sure it was all right. Then I told him, "You're not the first." He didn't realize it. You're not the first one who's experienced that in this room.
Yeah, Mike isn't the type. He's a journalist. He's not the type that would say, "Oh, I feel the heebie-jeebies in this room. Something happened in this room." It's just not Mike. So when he was suddenly overtaken, we thought it was like, but physically, he's having an episode. He's got a dizzy spell. And Mike was really affected. His skin turned white. He had to sit down. But it was that room. He didn't know the history and what we've experienced in that room. And it's another example of a reality overlaying and being imposed on another reality. Like when Keith did an experiment in mild religious provocation. Stop bothering this family. Well, he recited the Psalm, the 16th Psalm, and then you said the name of Jesus. You took your reality, the presence in that house had its own reality. Whatever force was keeping that window open, making that room cold, you brought in your own presence. And I'm just breaking down the mechanics of it. And your reality overrode that reality. And when you said the name of Jesus, the window slammed down. If it was just good timing, that's quite a coincidence. Plus, that window slammed shut right then.
I really didn't like that I was picking on young children. That rubbed me the wrong way very much.
Didn't you also hear a slap? And then what happened when?
Well, Nancy, her head was slapped on the left side, counterclockwise, screaming and crying. She's holding on to her head. So I just felt so bad for these children having to go through this. I realized I'm going home tonight, but they have to stay here. So.
Legendary Mike Ricksecker here in the Conjuring House. How do you find this house, Mike? What's your impression?
Yes, so far I find a real interesting energy here yet. Of course, I've only spent a little bit of time here, a couple hours so far.
And your first time here?
Yeah, first time I've ever been here. I love the history behind the house. I mean, you just, when you walk in, you start walking on the old floorboards and all that. It's just history is seeping out of the pores of the walls here, and that's just an environment that I love. So thus far, I am really, really enjoying this house.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed it till we almost fainted.
Yeah, that's just before he has experience there. Thank you very much. That's our visuals. Well, thank you very much, and God bless you all. Enjoy the sunshine while it lasts.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Always a fantastic job from who I call the OGs of the paranormal field. One more time, round of applause for Keith and Carl.
Matt's got a friend who bought a lot of real estate, and she's renting a house out to a guy who got in touch with her to say, hey, I had something really weird happen, and I got it on the audio on the video on his phone. He was sound asleep on a hot July night with the air conditioner on. He says, I sleep with everything. And he said, I woke up trying to figure out why I've woken up, and there's a noise above the air conditioner, and he's trying to figure out what it is, and it's something yelling outside. Really, really loud. And by the time he got his phone going and woke up enough to go outside, he stepped outside, and the thing wasn't yelling anymore, but I've heard the recording. It's a 30-second recording. This thing is going, like really deep and guttural. And he said, with that, he was like, I've recorded enough, I'm back in the house. Well, Matt got a hold of Swatchachusetts. They're open-minded Squatch hunters. Right. Not like
Swatchachusetts?
Yeah, it's a great name, isn't it? Yeah. But they're not like BFRO. They're a lot more open-minded to the supernatural aspect of the thing. So he calls them up and he says, hey guys, I think I've got an interesting case here. So they listen to the recording, and one of their team members has a program in his computer to identify the sounds of animals. So he put in North America, Northeast and all that. The computer matched it to nothing, not even a human being. Wow. So then they go out in the swamp and they find 8 feet up in the air on a green tree, a healthy tree. Something has grabbed the tree and twisted it and twisted it and twisted it and left it hanging off a twist.
This was a living, healthy tree.
Yeah, living tree, and it's many feet up in the air. So then they go on, they find living trees now bent into arches, which we found in the Huckamuck Swamp.
They build shelters, yeah.
Well, no, it's just a living tree that's been bent into an arch. And the theory is maybe that's a marker for the portals. Maybe they do that so they can find their way back. Kind of like Captain Kirk putting the chalk on the brick wall so he can get back through the portal,
Yeah.
I have seen that on documentaries.
Yeah, exactly. So they found that, but the cherry on top of it was they found the big naked footprint. And Matt's got a picture, I've seen it. It's not deep into the muck, but it is not a bear paw. Because there are bear in that area. Matt kept that in mind. He's like, hey, he's got a license to carry a pistol, so he brought his .45 because if a bear comes out of the swamp, they're in a lot of trouble. You can't run from a bear, so maybe you go boom with a gun, maybe it'll run the other way.
Right.
So Matt told the guys to Swatchachusetts, be careful, because we may be looking into a bear here. Bear step, when they walk, they do step into their own track. So people find faux Bigfoot prints, but you look at it and you can see the claws and you can make out the pads of the paws, but they accidentally leave a faux Bigfoot print when they walk.
I would have to say that during the almost decade that we lived in the farmhouse, I could not perceive. We had times where the spirits seemed rather dormant, and other times there was much a more heightened level of activity. Prior to a major manifestation, our electric bill would go through the roof, sometimes twice the cost of the mortgage, and then it would drop down to nothing after the manifestation occurred, which was indicative of some kind of electric energy that they were tapping into, as well as our own, because they also will draw from human energy. And we were 5 little girls who were really like tomboys. We were very active and energetic, and so we were putting a lot of energy out. And it was active on and off. I would say over the time that we lived there, our tenure at the farm, maybe a total of 24 hours of incidents in that amount of time. So this was not a constant chronic thing, at least not the low-level stuff. That we just ignored. It was just every day. But I will tell you that at Christmas, right around the holidays, they would be almost like super sensitive to our need to bond as a family and to enjoy those holidays. And the only time that we've ever had a manifestation and saw an apparition at Christmas was once on Christmas morning. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I think that they understood our need to have that as our home too. And we're gracious enough to keep everything to low-key minimum. Right? And then, after New Year's, all bets were off. Thank you.
No. I know when we first moved in, we actually tried to keep track of lunar phases and
Yeah, thunderstorms, if there was actually an increase in activity. It didn't really add up to anything for us, so we basically stopped keeping track of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, depending on who's there, whenever Andrea would show up, yeah, they would come out of the woodworks, you know, it was like family showing back up. So, yeah, but no, I mean, depending on the individuals that would show up to the house, I mean, I guess they just feed off of that energy. What you bring to the table is what they bring to the table. So if you come in as a jerk, you're going to get the jerks in return. You come in with the greatest intentions and, you know, love and light, that's what you get in return. So that's what we look for.
Very well said.
I can do this.
My favorite experience, I have so many from my childhood, I'm not even going to go there, because Cody and Satori have opened my eyes, and I thought my third eye was as open gets. And I had an experience there, I think it was last year, I can't remember, it was last year, I'm pretty sure, where we were, Tim Weisberg, several people, Amanda Millett, there were several people in the middle bedroom upstairs, and my sister April, who passed away in 2017, the baby of the family, came blasting through to rap herself out about something that she had done at the end of 2017, about 8 months after her death. And the words that came through, it's long story short, she stole dog toys that Christine had bought for her dog, Sammy, that my mom inherited after her death. And they disappeared. And it was Christmas morning, and Chris wanted to give her the toys. Give him the toys, and they were gone. And we looked and we looked and we looked. And when we came home after the big family gathering, we could not find them, and there was an extra bag under the tree. There was nothing under the tree when we left. And that bag had all the dog toys in them. And April comes through with Cody and Satori, and I think the 5 words were Chris, Christmas, bag, toys, Sam. And she ratted herself out. We knew it was her when it happened. We knew it was her, because that's how powerful she is. And she comes through the farm a lot. So I would have to say, in the big grand scheme of things, I can speak with my sister, who died 5 years ago because of that place, and the brilliant, beautiful, gifted, talented, kind-hearted people that I work with there, including these two, the one that won't talk at the end, Jen, okay? She does have a voice, and she's a great hugger. Cory opened that house back up to me, and Jacqueline has opened the world to me, and so have Cody and Satori. Everybody in this room needs to pay very close attention to what these two young people are doing. They are the future of this field.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that up, to be honest. Actually, our most profound moment didn't, this is before Cody and Satori actually showed us their gifts, so I kind of feel like the odd person home. But when we first moved into the house, we felt that the spirits needed to kind of like get used to us. So we kind of like confined ourselves to like the far end of the house. And one night we were laying in the cot, and for some reason I woke up, it was probably about midnight, and there was a shadow figure standing set around the corner. And didn't freak me out. I was like, okay, this shadow figure, it's kind of weird. And it was inquisitive. Like, it wasn't sizing me up to like drag me to hell or anything like that. And I was taking it all in. I was humbled because I was actually being able to witness it for so long. And then all of a sudden, she's just like, please tell me you're seeing this. And she said it out loud, and as soon as she said it out loud, it just whisked away. Like, there were no footsteps, nothing at all. And it was like being able to share a personal experience with somebody else that saw the same thing. It was quite amazing. And I mean, it just opened up the door for more experiences like that, because we knew exactly what we were looking for. You know, just to sit there, trust your instincts, use your senses. You don't need all this high-tech, sexy equipment that everybody sees on TV. You just sit there and you just take it all in. It's like fishing. You throw your bait out there and you just wait. You know, and some people just, they can't. You know, they just, you know, they want it now. But if you wait, it can happen. So that was all.
She does.
I think so. Like what we were talking about, I think at the table, teams that come in that are all hyped up on Mountain Dew, Red Bulls, and stuff like that, they get a lot of stuff. They get a lot of activity, I think, because you know what they're putting into it, they're getting out of it. Then the teams that show up after like a 12-hour drive, trying to push through an 8-hour investigation, they're dragging butt. They come out kind of empty-handed. But it's all intent. Like if you go in with good intentions and you treat them like you would want to be treated, you're going to get good results, I feel. It might not happen overnight, and we had that luxury where it wasn't like we were stuck to a timetable of one night and that's all we have. That's what we were pushing for. It's like, you know, and it's an extended investigation, something that nobody's ever done before. And, you know, we would treat them with the utmost respect. Anything we did with that house as far as changing the roof or, you know, putting this up or something like that, asking their permission. You know, if you don't like that idea, just tell us. The contractors would look at us like we were crazy. And it's like, look, we got to live with them, for lack of better words. But it's like, you know, we would want the same, you know, luxury if it was afforded to us.
I don't think it personally depends on whether they're experienced or inexperienced, though I do think it's the personality of the person, what, again, they're bringing, but I don't think it has to be an experienced investigator versus a new investigator, or I just think it's personality, it's what you give and what you're looking for, what your intent is, you're not demanding, or I really think it's your energy that you bring to the table. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I can certainly agree with that 100%. And sometimes we get gross. We have all our houses and stuff, and absolutely no provoking, no ridiculing, no disrespecting the spirit. But once in a while, it does happen, and one of a couple things will happen to a group like that. One, like the spirits they'll shut down and go away. Like, think about it. You have like a friend comes over to visit your family, and if they're obnoxious and rude, you know, you might just leave the room and go into another room and disengage. So our spirits will oftentimes disengage, and people won't get any activity then from them. Or at times, you know, like someone's been scratched or poked or something. The one thing that we do know that we learned recently is that the spirits of the house prepare for every single guest who's coming in. They know exactly who's coming in. They won't tell us why they're preparing or what they're preparing for, but they do. We've had times with Cory and Satori where we've tried to have a conversation with them. We'll be talking to Abigail Arnold, and she's like, you know, I gotta go because, you know, we're preparing for the guests that are coming tonight. And it's like, what? You know, what do you mean? And it's silence, right? So again, they're feeding us information as we're ready to receive the information. But absolutely, intentions going in will dictate that house, the energy amplifies whatever you're bringing.
Why did you first get into it? I know, Andrea, you kind of said it a little bit in your panel, but like for the rest of you, like what drew you initially saying, I want to get this into this house, I want to be a part of this house?
It was a random Saturday morning, and oftentimes I wake up, I make my coffee, I'm sitting on my sofa, and my dog who's down there, and I just scroll, like what's trending on Google? I always just want to say, like, what's trending that day on Google? And the Conjuring House for sale. I'm like, what? Right? So I go online, I'm searching, I find the listing agent. Who is this listing agent? I have to go see this house. I make an appointment. for that Monday to see it at 3 o'clock. I go on the website, I see that there's a tour going on at 1 o'clock. So I book the tour, and I get the tour with Cory, and I go up to Cory after the tour. I'm like, hi, that was an amazing tour, by the way, and I'm the buyer that's here to look at the house. And Cory and I immediately kind of bonded, and I thank them every day that they sold me the property, because they had many, many other options to do it. They had higher offers, and I just feel very privileged, and I thank them all the time that they sold me the house. And then I thank them all the time that they've remained part of the business.
To be honest, it kind of happened the same way for us. We used to walk our dogs at like ridiculous early time, and we came in and walking the dogs. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and I just jumped on Facebook, and there was a post in one of my random ITC groups that says the owner was looking to sell the house. It wasn't on the market or anything like that, and we had people down here that I knew that could get us in contact with the realtor, and the realtor said in fact she wanted to, when she got back from vacation, put it up for sale. And we ended up sitting down with the previous owner before we even met with the realtor, and were able to like basically stop her from putting it on the market, and gave her what she wanted for it. And the whole reason was because how many times do you have a chance to own a piece of paranormal history? I mean, you know, and to be able to investigate it 24/7, 365 days a week, a year, sorry, if you want. Yeah, exactly, especially there. But, you know, it was something that had been shut off to the paranormal field, you know, since Andrea and her family lived there. And, you know, maybe onesies and twosies have been in there, but nobody had heard anything about it. So it was like this little gem that was being held away from the paranormal field. And if we could open it up, I think it would do like an immense, you know, push for the paranormal field, because the stories that we had heard from her book, the little bit from the movie that was, you know, it was like this could be a happening place, you know, and it was worth the risk. And, you know, especially when my wife's like, I love this place. You know, she's the typical person to be like, she sees the price, she's like, are you stupid? You know, especially when my parents were like, are you stupid? And I'm like, yeah, no. But she fell in love with the place quicker than I did. So.
I personally think that the house chooses people. I think it's very intelligent, and I think that the first time I viewed it and I fell in love with it, I am the one who's like, let's think about this, let's talk about it, let's analyze it. I fell in love with it. And I wasn't there the day that Jacqueline came, but I already knew that she was a perfect buyer. Like, I already knew, like, I think the house chooses people and lets us make that choice to pass it on to whoever they know is great for it. It's just, I don't know, I think the house chooses you.
Although the weather was not always cooperating over the weekend, the 2023 Ocean State ParaCon Convention was a wonderful success. A fine time was had by all. Organized by Ken DeCosta, this is actually the 10th Ocean State ParaCon Convention, and this year, all proceeds benefited the Tomorrow Fund.